What is up, YouTube? Big Papa Jake coming to you again on It Figures, where I talk figures. And today I'm going to review the main event, Series 154, Jake the Snake Roberts. Jake the Snake is one of those wrestlers where I don't pass up a figure typically. I did pass up the Mattel Coliseum collection just because, I don't know. I'd spend way too much money on those recently, so maybe if I find one on the cheap, I would get him and Rick Rude, I believe, are the set. But yeah, Jake the Snake, I don't pass up, and for $9 or whatever it was, I had to get this guy. So I'm going to open this up, let it breathe, talk a little bit about Jake the Snake, talk about the packaging, talk about the figure and the outfit he's wearing, things like that, and just kind of give you guys an idea what I think of Jake the Snake Roberts. So let's look at the main event, or what used to be basics. They have improved quite a bit with some of the mobility of the figures. I'm not going to go over that. I know some reviews do that. I don't tend to go over that. The articulation is what it is. I buy it for the nostalgia. I don't play with them. I pose them, but not, for pictures or anything like that. So, but let's crack this guy open after we look at the packaging. Of course, WWE main event, Jake the Snake Roberts, Series 154, kind of giving that snake eye to the camera. And on the back here, we got that same kind of side eye, snake eye that he's given, Series 154. And the rest of the figures in the series, you got Randy Orton, AJ, Seth Rollins, and that is Kiana James, so one of the newer talents. Passing on all these. Jake the Snake's the only one I really... Oh, that's CM Punk. I'm sorry. Thought that was Seth Rollins. My bad. Have seen that one out and almost picked it up, but again, I don't need another CM Punk. So yeah, let's crack this bad boy open. Take a look at the figure. And again, Jake the Snake Roberts, mid to late 80s in the WWF is where I know him from. I didn't, see him in Smoky Mountain Wrestling. We've all heard his struggles family-wise with Grizzly Smith. And we've seen the documentaries with his addiction problems and working with DDP. So I'm just going to talk the positive about Jake the Snake. Jake the Snake Roberts, and I love the look of this figure. Jake the Snake Roberts was one of the greatest wrestlers, entertainers that I ever saw. Started my fandom with the WWF back in '84 with the birth of Hulkamania. When Jake Roberts came in, man, boy, he just was something else. The ring psychology, which I was too young to really know what that was, but I appreciate it now. The power on the microphone, the way he spoke. When he cut a promo, you kind of leaned in, you had to hear what he was saying, and then all of a sudden he just kind of exploded with that tone, and you knew, whoever he was facing was in trouble. But Jake the Snake, an awesome talent. You got here, you got the Cobra on the side. And I'm not sure, it's kind of a cartoonish Cobra. I don't really remember these, but I'm assuming it was probably from his feud with Randy Savage when he had the actual Cobra bite into his arm. I don't know who has heard that story, but it's pretty gruesome story about that, how they had a live Cobra bite onto Randy's arm and they couldn't get it off. But it was good for business, boy. It's a memorable scene that gets shown now every day. But yeah, you got the snakeskin boots here. It's prototypical Jake the Snake Roberts. That face scan, the head scan is spot on for a basic figure. I mean, this. If I only wanted one Jake the Snake Roberts figure and wanted it in my collection, this would be a great representation. Why spend $22 to $25 if you can spend $9 to $11 and get something like this? This is a really good figure, and obviously, not that there's a whole lot of kids who know who Jake the Snake Roberts are or wrestling with him, but this would do the trick. I mean, the knees, everything, arms, unlike the old basics, they have the better articulation. But let's get back to Jake the Snake Roberts. Jake had some very memorable feuds in my wrestling fandom that I'll talk about, and I'll say the most memorable. Obviously, you got Andre the Giant, where he gave him a heart attack by putting the snake in the ring with him and on him. That was always back when Andre was a heel, so Jake was the face. Obviously, the Macho Man, the Rick Rude feud where Rick Rude had Jake Roberts' wife Cheryl's face on his trunks. Loved that. I mean, that was just ultimate. Perfect. Two guys who just knew how to get business done, and that feud was money. So those are the ones I remember Jake the Snake Roberts from. I also remember he had a match with Rick Martel, I think, at one of the WrestleManias, where Rick Martel had sprayed him with his cologne, and Jake the Snake was blind, so they both had a blindfold match. Essentially, I think there were bags over their head. Spoiler alert, they could actually see through them. But anyway, that match was just awesome. I liked it. It's one of those underrated WrestleMania matches for me. Can't remember which WrestleMania that was, but I'm pretty sure that was a WrestleMania match. But yeah, so again, cartoon-like Cobra on the side. It's just awesome. I didn't realize when I saw this figure announced that it had the Cobra tights. I thought it was the same as the Legends figure that I'm going to show you in a second. But Jake the Snake, just one of those guys. I can't believe he did not have a run with the Intercontinental title. I can't believe he didn't have a run against Hogan or Macho Man when he was a face WWF champion. I'm not sure of all the time frame of the comings and goings. I mean, because Jake left the company for a while, went to WCW, feuded with Sting and that, and then came back. Austin era, everyone recalls that Austin 316 was a promo cut against Jake the Snake Roberts after he beat him at King of the Ring. So Jake had been back and forth with the company, but I say he should have had a run with one of the champions. Definitely had an IC title reign. I think he should have won the IC title. I can't tell you where or when, but I can just tell you he would have been an excellent Intercontinental champion, and I think he should have had a run against Hogan or Savage, one of those long-time WWF champions, and kind of pursued that belt. Maybe even won it for a little while. I know that isn't how the WWF worked. It was a babyface territory, so to speak, if you want to call it territory. They didn't give the belt to heels, but Jake would have made a hell of a champion. So, Jake the Snake Roberts, one of my all-time absolute favorite wrestlers, despite all his personal issues, despite all the publicity. He has turned his life around, I'll just say that. I know Diamond Dallas has worked with him. I think he's still under contract with AEW, so kind of surprised we get a figure. I don't know how that works. Sometimes they can, sometimes they can't, but yeah. So now I'm going to compare a little bit. This is the outfit. This is from, I believe it is a Legends figure, if I recall. One of the newer releases of the Legends. I have one mint in box somewhere, but I don't have it displayed, so I couldn't tell you what series it was. But you got the purple snake wrapped around. This is what I thought, because you see the colors here. This is what I thought was in the basics. I thought that was a representation, but it turns out it's not. But yeah, you take a look at that again. Not too shabby, other than obviously the other articulation that you get with it. It's certainly a similar representation. But yeah, this was the Legends Jake Roberts, and it came with this snake. This Damien came with Earthquake, I believe, and as Earthquake was the one who sat on Damien and squished him. So I put the bag over his shoulder and display him like this. And then kind of this comes with Damien, and I can't remember what the other snake was. Comment below if you remember what the other snake was. It was Damien and whatever. But this is the Hall of Fame from his 2014 Hall of Fame induction. One of my first figures when I started collecting. And that's a good Jake the Snake figure too. The head scan's a little, but that kind of technology has gotten so much better. But yeah, this one was released with Piper and Georgia Animal Steel and Diesel on the back. It says I have 2 out of 3 of those. I didn't get the Diesel one. I kind of passed on that, but it's one of the first times I knew I'm a collector. I saw these out there and I had to start grabbing them. But yeah. So as you can see, again, not too shabby for a quote unquote basic main event figure there. So, but Jake the Snake, definitely one of my all-time favorites, and should have had a run with the IC belt, should have had a run at the heavyweight championship belt, maybe a Royal Rumble, whatever. But Jake was just, he was always there. He always had a good storyline, always did the best with what he had, whether it be feuding with Andre, whether it be Rick Rude and the grief he probably took with what he did with the tights and all that. So let me know what you think of Jake the Snake Roberts. Comment below. One of my absolute favorites. But other than that, yeah, thanks for tuning in to It Figures. And hopefully very soon I'm going to have some mail days, good mail days coming where I get some Big Rubber Guys are on the way and a few other ones. I'm trying to think of what I've got coming. But might be just the Arn and Tully Big Rubber Guys right now. I am desperately on the hunt for the Monday Night Wars Greatest Hits with that Gorilla Monsoon. That is my holy grail right now. I do have the Monday Night War Greatest Hits with Hogan and Muda and the whole series with the Ted DiBiase Build-A-Figure in it. I've got that coming. I think that's not scheduled till the end of May, so maybe even June. So I won't be opening that anytime soon, but I certainly will do that and assemble the Build-A-Figure and that. So, but yeah, thanks for watching It Figures, and comment, like and subscribe, share this, get the word out there. If anyone, like I said, likes to talk wrestling and, old school wrestling, mainly 1980s to through 1990s, through the Attitude Era, the Monday Night Wars. Those are my favorite eras. But I've caught up on all of it, become a fan again. I'm watching current stuff. Don't really talk much current stuff here, but I certainly will. If there's a figure out there, I genuinely don't buy current figures. I think I have a Cody Rhodes and a Roman, and the Samoans. I have the bloodline, not the Samoans. I have the Samoans too, but the bloodline figures. I have a little display of that, but for the most part, the current guys, my son collects them and loves them, but I'm not going to do that. I've got to keep it to the Attitude Era, the Golden Era, and those ones that bring me back to a memory as a kid or a college student watching Nitro every Monday night, at Nitro parties. So, but anyway, thanks for tuning in. Good hunting, and deuces.